Hey everybody, it's Mrs. Lambert Torres here with you for another science lesson. I really hope you enjoyed that first video clip. We had so much fun going to Cummins Nature Preserve. If you haven't been there and you're able to get there, I would totally check it out. Now, that video is what we call a little hook. So it's to let you know what we're going to be studying. Now, we're going to start with the plant life cycle today, but that video shows you where we're going to end after several lessons. So be on the lookout. There's going to be more videos from Cummins Nature Preserve in the future, but we wanted to kind of give you a little glimpse at what we're going to be getting to when we're studying plant life. So like I said, today we are going to be studying plant life. And if you were in school, I would have our ICAN posted. And today it's pretty simple. I can explain the life cycle of a plant. Now, this is something that you've probably had when you were at Straub or another elementary school in kindergarten, first and second grade. But we want to revisit this in order to kind of jog your memories of the plant life cycle. So that way, when we start talking about things like native plants, invasive plants, things like that, and you start watching those videos from the nature preserve, you'll be able to have more knowledge of the plant life cycle and of how plants survive in nature. So, to start off, I'm going to read you this. It's called the plant life cycle. Every organism has its own life cycle for how it reproduces. Now, right there alone in this sentence, there's a lot of words in there, and some of them are pretty big words. So if we look at that first word, and I'm going to put right here, organism. An organism is simply a plant, an animal, a single-celled life form. I'm an organism, you're an organism. It's any living creature. That is what an organism is. And then if we look at the word reproduces, you could have reproduce, you can have reproduces, you could have reproduced, or you could have reproduction. Those are just different forms of that word, but basically they all mean the process for which a plant makes more seeds. So in order for the plant life cycle to work, it's got to have reproduction, and that's through the seeds and the flowers, and you're going to learn about that. So I'm going to continue on. Every organism has its own life cycle for how it reproduces. A life cycle is the series of changes an organism makes throughout its lifetime. An organism's cycle starts at the beginning of a life, so when something is born or when there's a seed, and grows into its mature stage. But then the adult organism will reproduce by starting another life. So if you're thinking about plants, that's when they have a baby. If you're thinking about animals, You're thinking about animals, that's where they would have another baby. But since we're talking about the plant life, basically a baby in a plant is the seed. So they have to have the seed in order to produce another life, so another plant. This is what makes it a cycle. Birds, butterflies, fish, frogs, and every other animal have their own life cycles. All plants are living, so they have life cycles as well. A plant's life cycle has 4 stages. I'm going to scroll down just a little bit. Flowering plant life cycle. The first stage of any plant that produces a flower is called a seed. The seed is planted, and the seed begins to grow. Roots begin to grow, and a small, fragile plant sprouts from the ground. The baby plant is the second stage, in which is called a seedling. The seedling will continue to grow until it reaches the third stage, which is a mature plant. And mature is another word, kind of like an adult plant. So it's stronger than what the seedling is. The mature plant is much stronger than the seedling, but cannot produce yet. And when it says produce, that means it can't make seeds yet. The fourth stage is the flower. And typically in flowers, that's the pretty colorful part of the flower. When the plant begins to bloom, a flower is formed. It is now ready to reproduce. The flower part of the plant contains the reproductive system that will reproduce a seed and keep the cycle going. So if you look up here at this image, first you have a seed, and this is a dandelion. And dandelions, the way they get around and move and are able to grow is through the wind. So here's our seed. When it hits the ground and gets under the soil, it starts to grow, and this is called a seedling. So the seed is the first stage. The seedling is the second stage, and you see it has a little root right there, and it's starting to get some leaves. After the seedling starts to grow a little bit more, take in more nutrients, more food, gets stronger, it becomes a mature plant. And once it is mature, it does start to grow a flower. Now, this is actually a picture of a dandelion, which a lot of us have them in our yards, and we know those. So the flower of a dandelion is yellow, but as that dries out, it becomes those things that you can blow in the wind, and the little white things start flying through the air. That's the seed of a dandelion. So right here, this is the life cycle of a dandelion, or any plant is similar. Now, if you notice, these arrows don't ever stop. They keep going. And that's why it's called a cycle. A cycle keeps going. It doesn't stop. So the seed blows in the wind, drops to the ground. After a while, it starts to make a seedling, get a little root and some leaves. It grows up a little bit more and becomes a mature plant. It can get stronger. And then it starts to grow a flower. The flower starts to die, and that's when it gets kind of that part of the dandelion that you could blow on. And then more seeds go into the ground to make a seedling. So this cycle continuously goes on and on and on. So this is the life cycle of a plant. You are going to be completing an activity on the plant life cycle, and I hope you enjoy this. We will have another activity tomorrow or Wednesday. But like I said, we are going to get to those cool videos at Cummins Nature Preserve. And I really hope that you enjoy learning about the plant life cycle.